Okay, we're just kind of sorting through here. We're going to try to combine. There have been several questions about one of the most prevalent topics in unlicensed care, which is Craigslist. And Craigslist has obviously been both a boon and a bane for folks. I know in taking a look at Craigslist periodically in the child care section that licensed providers do take advantage of it and I hope make good use of it in helping to drive the operation of their business. But at the same time, too, there are the folks that are clearly on there that are in the stay-at-home category and are operating what appears to be unlicensed care and would require licenses. Craigslist is something that we have been addressing from the service area responses. The service areas have been posting periodically on Craigslist a specific message that is intended to instruct folks that they have to become licensed. Of course, as many of you probably know, it is possible for those types of messages to be removed by being flagged down. And I've seen some interesting responses to the discussion, not only from the licensed providers encouraging folks to become licensed, but also from the messages that Dell staff post. In terms of getting Craigslist to take some more type of formalized action, Craigslist has historically resisted any types of actions in that area. You may be aware of the news story where the prosecutors and law enforcement put pressure on them to deal with exotic services ads that were being run. And it took quite a while and a lot of pressure on them to take action on that. And they generally are not very inclined to do a lot of editing or any kind of censorship on it. They tend to be kind of a free speech type of organization. One of the next questions talked about Craigslist and unlicensed care on the military base. Folks, you may not be aware, but the military base is actually an area where the military, the federal government, has exclusive jurisdiction because of sovereign status. And so DEL really does not handle very much, if any, licensing activities. Most of our licensing activities are just located just outside the gate of any military base. And the Department of Defense is the one who handles licensing inside the base.
Okay. So this is Amy. We have a softball question that I can answer from Laura Bazaldua. How can I get a hard copy of the presentation? What we can do is right after this webinar has ended, we can post it. I'm thinking on my feet here. We can post it online. And so if you go to the DEL website tomorrow under the provider section, we will have it posted for you. And later we will have the recording on it. Or you can also email communications@del.wa.gov and ask us for a copy, and we can email it to you.
Okay, next question is from Guadalupe, and the question is, I've already sent my licensing fee. Do we need to wait for an invoice to send the remaining balance for the licensing fee? And the answer to that is yes. If you have any changes that will happen, your local DEL office will be sending an invoice to you to let you know what the difference is in terms of any types of fees. As we go into the transition with the changes in fees, that will occur here after the 1st of July. Next question, we're just kind of sorting through here because we do have some duplications. From Cindy Schmidt, the question is, will we receive a bill in the mail for the fingerprint registry fee? That's a great question, because I'd written down on my notes while Amy was talking that you don't need to worry about sending it in until you get the invoice. The state office staff are working on finalizing a mailing that will go out probably in the third or fourth week of July, and that will get to you probably by the beginning of August. And there'll be a time frame where you'll be able to return that. It will have both the invoice, a tear off at the bottom, and a return envelope for you. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible to send it back into DEL. The next question is another fee question from Kim Borgata, and the question is, can I make time payments for the new licensing fees? That question is that we don't have it. The answer to that question is that we don't have any mechanism for you to pay fees in installments. The requirement in statute or WAC has that you have to pay the fee in order to become licensed. There just isn't a mechanism for you to do that differently. Sherry Claiborne asks if this fulfills STAR credits, and no, we didn't contemplate that this would fulfill any STAR credits in terms of providing the information. It may be something that we can talk about for future presentations, but it wasn't contemplated for this particular event. Okay, the next question is another fee question about the $45 fee for the background check registry from Juliana Proctor. And the question is it just for employees or for the person in charge of the home child care like me, as I am the owner? And the answer to the question is that it is the fee is the responsibility of the licensee. Essentially, we're going to take a snapshot of the active licensees in the data system as of July 1st, and that'll be the basis for the mailing that comes later in July. The employees, family members, they don't have to pay that. It's just a one-time fee associated with the active licenses on the 1st of July. The next question from Corinne Husman, and the question is, to clarify, anyone who is required to have a background check must go through the fingerprinting process, including providers, employees, and spouses. The answer to that question is if they are being backgrounded for the first time in the system, the answer is that they will have to be fingerprinted. Now, if you have employees, yourself, and spouses who are already in the system, they will not have to be re-fingerprinted or have to go through the fingerprinting process. They're grandfathered. The only thing that will happen when they do their background check between July 1st of 2012 and July 1st of 2013 is that they will have a name and date of birth check that is run through the system and gets them active in the background check registry. Sure. Just filtering down, we're moving through these as quickly as we can and grouping them together. From Leanna Law, the question is, or the comment is that this is there's a burden on providers to pay for the background checks, and the fact that it would be expensive for a provider when there are limitations to the amount of money that is being made in child care. And why can't the employees pay for this themselves since they take it with them? And that is exactly the point of the sponsor of the bill and the purpose behind the legislation, which is that employees, as we all know, do come and go from various child care settings. And rather than having the child care endure the costs of turnover and background checks as it is currently, the law was deliberately changed to require folks to have a background check, make it so that the person who receives the check and can take it with them pay for it. But in the interest of some of the locations around the state, particularly the ESDs, they wanted to be able to pay the fees in cases where they felt that they needed to pay the fee to support their employees. So your employee is responsible for having that background check and having the cost because they do take it with them. But the law does not preclude a child care from paying the fee for their employee if they choose to do so. Another question from Leanna. The question is why the providers are taking the hits for the fee increase and why it seems to be biased towards centers with the fees being triple what was used to be paying. This is an area where I need to really emphasize that the department didn't go into this current or this past session in 2011 nor in the 2010 session asking for fee increases. This was an action that occurred during the legislative sessions, and they had some difficult decisions to make around the fiscal picture of the state, and decisions were made in the legislature that caused the fees to be increased. For a point of reference, the fees previously had not been changed since the mid-'80s for any of the licensed child cares, and so the increases were determined as part of the whole fiscal process in the legislature. I've got a question from Amelia Holbeck, and the question is regarding the $45 setup registry fee. How does that work for an organization with multiple child care sites? Is there just the one-time $45 fee, or does every site have to pay the fee separately? That's a great question. It's not one that I've had in the time that this bill has been moving through. Off the top of my head, I would say that the language in the bill would require the license to pay the fee. And so if you are an organization, an umbrella organization that has multiple sites under your umbrella, each license is going to be required to pay that $45 fee. Bear with us here. We're sorting through a few more here. Okay, the next question is from Corrine. The question is the $45 background check registry fee, is that for the fingerprint check? And the answer to that is no. The $45 fee is just the one-time fee to set up the background check registry. The individual fees are for fingerprinting are set by the State Patrol's processing fees, and the cost to do the